Hello everyone, my name is Pacha and welcome to another episode of Tiergarten Edelwald, our new city zoo project, very classical city zoo, yet without a city. I really have to get going and build one at some point, otherwise it's just another zoo. But anyway, we are back in episode 3 already of Edelwald, and as you already saw from the thumbnail in the intro, we are yet again not building for any of the new animals that came with the Zookeeper's animal pack. No, we are building for old animals, but we are building for animals that I haven't built yet for here on YouTube, this being the greater flamingo and the Nile Lechwe or Nile Litchi or Nile Lechwe, whatever you want to call it. There is different, a dozen different pronunciations for its name. I call it Lechwe. In German, it's called Litchi, which is also the name of a fruit. But anyway, it's an antelope from North Africa, and same as the flamingo, which is not an antelope, but it is also from North Africa and from Europe. And so we are gonna build for both of them today, and this is also one of the first major diversions from the real-life inspirations of this area, which of course is Tiergarten Schönbrunn. Not because of the flamingo, but because of the Lechwe. In the real Tiergarten Schönbrunn, instead of the Nile Lechwe, they have the Nile, which is an animal we have in game, but I really never built for the Lechwe, which came to us with the, I think, Wetlands animal pack. I think that was 2 years ago, if I'm not incorrect. But yeah, so I really wanted to build for the Lechwe because I really like how it looked, but I never had a chance to build for them, and that's why we swap these out. And also we are at the moment doing something that as I said, because of time issues last episode, I didn't manage to do, and that is building the interior of the backstages for this, kind of hoofstock row that we have going here in the center of Edelwald, using my beloved backstage fence pack set that you can also find on the workshop if you want to. I uploaded it there, but the one I made, and which is basically a copy of the backstage fences of Leipzig Zoo. And thanks to a wonderful member of this community, I got pictures of the interior of Schönbrunn's backstage area, of these houses, because when I was there earlier this year, I sadly didn't make any pictures of these interiors. You can look into the interior from the outside, but I didn't manage to make a picture because I forgot, because I just don't thought about that I would recreate that at some point. So keep that in mind. If you ever to a zoo, still make pictures of everything that seems interesting, because you never know when you might need it. But thanks to them, I got these pictures, and I noticed that the fences that they use in these backstages are pretty much the same as the one that is used in Leipzig Zoo in their South American area, in their backstage over there. So maybe this is more of a standardized type of backstage fencing in zoo environments, but definitely it saved time for me, so I had to make a full fence set myself again. I could just use these ones. Definitely saved me some work. And the idea here, basically, I forgot what I wanted to say there, is that you have 4 cages or 4 stalls basically on either side that can be opened to the middle walkway basically, which also lets them get the animals out to the central door. But also you have these side doors over here that you see here in just a moment, or you see at the moment, which also opens, in some places opens the possibility to let the animals out or separate them better. But in some cases these doors also lead to the backstage areas for the keepers. So it's always a little bit different, but the main access to the public show area basically for the animals are these big doors in the middle, which of course also acts as an access normally for the keepers to get into the exhibit. Not in my case, because the keeper doors, the in-game keeper doors, are way too thick and way too big, so they stick out every time. And I basically, as I showed you, or did I show you? I don't know if I showed you that in the video, but people who follow me on Twitch know that I sunk down the keeper gates into the ground near the fences on the outside, and then made some my own doors basically to assume there would be an access for the keepers, but really it would be these big doors where they can access the habitat. And in contrast to last time, we're not building both habitats as after each other, or we're not building the outside areas after each other. We built the Nile Lechwe first, because we also have to change the interior, the backstage interior for the flamingos, of course. And by the way, I didn't show it in the video, but I basically copied over the backstage interior that I made here into all other backstage areas that are connected. So I also have now a backstage area for the Dama gazelle and the common ostrich. But for the flamingo, we need to do something different, and we will get to that once we are at the flamingo point. For now, we are focusing on the Nile Lechwe, a very cool, very aquatic based antelope from northern Africa. And because they are more keen to water and stuff like that, we will also change a little bit the water area, or the wet mode in front of them, would make it a little bit bigger in a moment, so they had a little bit more water to run around it, and they really enjoy it. They are in the water most of the time. Probably not when I'm showing it later to you, but they really enjoy the more water that they have. But anyway, why we are now building the exterior of the Nile Lechwe, I also want to talk about a little bit of some Planet Zoo news, which we just got last week with last week's Frontier Unlocked stream. Their monthly stream where they talk about all the news and stuff like that that they have for their games. And most of us, and including me and many people in the community, I would say the majority of people in the community, thought that the Zookeeper's Animal Pack would be the final pack for Planet Zoo, and then they would shift focus to Planet Coaster 2 and work on maybe a potential Planet Zoo 2. But yeah, that the game would basically be over, apart from some updates and quality of life features, stuff like that. And this is not the case. There are still coming smaller updates. For example, the Dig was finally fixed. They fixed the Dig this week. Now the Dig has a smaller hitbox and can make more use of the space they have in the habitat. So hooray! It works. It is really cool. But they also dropped the bomb that the Zookeeper's Animal Pack is not the last animal pack, or it's not the last DLC for Planet Zoo, and that they are actually potentially working on another new DLC which will be released somewhat next year. If I would have to guess, around March, April, similar to all the DLCs they released in springtime in the previous year, so around that time would make the most sense. But yeah, they are working on another DLC, and I'm honest with you guys here, I'm not 100% sure how I should feel about it. On one side, of course, it is cool to get more animals. It is, of course, cool to, once again, have a chance to get a tree kangaroo, to get a coati, to get a secretary bird, all the animals that we kind of felt robbed of in the Zookeeper's Animal Pack. And it is cool that if you get them, because mods can only go that so long. And I know there someone was working on mod for the tree kangaroo, but getting an official version, of course, it's always better, depending on how well it's executed. And so it is cool that we get maybe potentially more animals, and they said it would be an animal pack, so we're getting up to 7 animals or up to 8 animals again. On the other side, I'm a little bit conflicted about because of the quality of the Zookeeper's Animal Pack. Of course, don't get me wrong, the Zookeeper's Animal Pack was a very cool pack. It definitely has some cool species, had very cool pieces, and none of the species were highly requested. But execution of these species, especially some of the fur work, I've already talked about the problem with the Dig hitbox, which of course can always happen, but the fur work, the quality of the model, stuff like that, wasn't on par with what we had seen, for example, last year with last year's DLCs, like Eurasia and Oceania and stuff like that. They felt less high quality, as I want to say. And of course, I know many people don't really care about that. They just want to have animals. They don't really care if the model is totally 100% accurate to the real life animal, if their fur is looking good. But as someone who likes to also see highly accurate animals, because I'm really aiming for a more realistic approach in this game, especially animals like the baboon and the markhor and the shifaka, they didn't look as good as they would have looked in last year, for example, if we would have got them last year. And this may be due to the layoffs that happened at Frontier, due to the shrinking of the PC, of the Planet Zoo team in size, that less people work on it now because it's not their main focus anymore. Planet Coaster is their main focus. So I totally understand if the quality isn't as good, but what I want to say is, am I happy about getting another DLC with potentially not as good animals compared to what we got in the past? I don't know. If this new DLC is really just is it for us as a community because we want more animals, or is it just because they want to make more money? Most likely they want to make more money with the game and basically milk Planet Zoo until it's totally dry. So but if that is just their own focus, then I'm a little bit worried. If it's also because they want to still support the Planet Zoo community, which is also totally could be a point, then that might be better. But at the moment, as I see it, I'm hesitant to be 100% happy about another DLC, which sounds weird, I know, but it is what it is. At the moment, I feel a little bit conflicted. Maybe it will change once I know what the DLC will be, what the plan band is. Maybe also the quality increases. We can't tell that. And yeah, this was just what I wanted to say. The news are here. We're getting another DLC. Zookeepers wasn't the last, but I would say we wait and see what the DLC actually is before we make any final judgment. But anyway, we are now, as I said, going into the habitat or the backstage for the flamingos, and as it's typical for flamingo backstages, you usually have a flooded floor area because flamingos don't like to stay on dry land for too long. It's always good to have at least a bit of water in their backstage because that's where they feel safe. And sadly, I would have wished to make the whole floor water, sadly due to the path going right beside this backstage, right outside, I couldn't make it fully water, and so I decided to make like a little bit of a pit here, but of course with angled sides so that the flamingos can get in and out easily, that the keepers can get in and out easily. And we also delete one of the doors because we don't need it, so we just close it off, something I also saw in the real life version of this zoo. And yeah, I think that's basically all the news that I have to tell you, and now we can focus back on the video with this backstage. And I would like to make more details into this backstage later on, so there will definitely be some changes in later parts of the series. Maybe some feeding baskets I saw in some penguin flamingo backstages, of course. And what we also want to do is making the water area, of course, much bigger in this area. But this will not be one continuous water source. I mean, it is basically, but we will separate it with some concrete pools, basically making it appear like this was built afterwards and is separated from the actual wet mode in the front. And this is just for the flamingos, so they have more water. And of course, we also need the foraging pool, and we sink it down as usual. If you want to know, probably most people on my channel know this video already. It's one of my most popular videos on how to hide enrichment items into the ground, stuff like that. But it is on my YouTube channel under my tips and tricks section, in my tips and tricks playlist, and there you can find out how you can sink in these enrichment items into the ground, makes them a little bit more disappear basically. And now, as I said, we are working on this concrete area that basically keeps the water in. Something I didn't need to do in the other water areas because they are natural water modes, and I'm probably guessing from the age of the zoo they are also quite old. But for this one is an extension, and yeah, this is what we will do in the next couple of minutes because it took quite a long of time. I cut it in some areas, so you don't have to sit through the whole sitting basically here. And as I said, this video doesn't feature any of the new animals from the Zookeeper's Animal Pack, but I can already spoiler you that much, or can promise you that much. Next video will. The reason I didn't build for any of the new animals was that this area, or these hoofstock row basically, was conceived was I planned already for that way before we knew about the new DLC, because I'm working on this zoo for quite a while now, and I already planned everything out, and none of the animals from the DLC really fit into this area, into the style of the habitats without major big changes. So that is why you don't see any of the new animals in here. But next week, as I will have some, and I also wanted to have a little bit of a foundation. I just wanted to have this empty center area with no habitats in them, with no foliage in them, and just build on the side around this area, outside of this area. Just would have looked a little bit weird. So we need a little bit of a foundation here to work with before we can start on some outside areas that are not part of the center. And that's what we have now. There are still 2 habitats missing on this row, which will be, I can spoiler that, which will be probably for the plain zebra and another antelope, which I haven't decided on yet. So if you have any suggestion on what antelope I could put in with the zebra, that will be a shared habitat. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for that. I'm happy to hear them. I have some candidates, but I'm not fully decided yet. But yeah, then we have this side of the center basically finished, and we can focus on some outside areas and some of the other sides of this area, because there's still a lot to do. But next week we will do something different. We will work on a habitat for one of the new animals and for one old animal, and if it works like I envisioned it already, it will look pretty cool. But I keep my final judgment until I have built it and know if it worked or not. But anyway, I will now leave you to the rest of this shorter video. Actually, finally a shorter video again, not over 30 minutes, I hope at least. I haven't seen the real-time part yet, but in general a shorter video finally. But I will leave you now to the rest of that, where we finish the flamingo area with their concrete pools and with the foliage and stuff like that. And then I will see you at the end in the real-time part, where I show you everything completely finished and how it looks in its totality. So enjoy the music, and I see you at the end of the video. And there we are already in our real-time part. Hello, sir. And this time we start from the last habitat that we built to the first one, a little bit in other directions, and later on I will also show you the backstage areas. But first we start, of course, with our little African wetlands and the flamingos, and I really like how lush this one turned out with the weeping willows, which give a nice feeling, and of course with the leaves hanging down, it gives a bit of shade and lushness and stuff like that. And I maybe want to add some more water features over here, some bit more movement in the water, and I hope the flamingos are not too loud. They can be, I know. But yeah, I really like that. And also, quick side note, I added these signs to all of the exhibits. On one side, of course, the animal, on the other side, the logo of the zoo, Tiergarten Edelwald. So there will just be a stand-in until I have the time and motivation to make dedicated signs for this zoo. But I added signs so people will know what animals are in here if they can't tell by just looking at them. But yeah, these are the flamingos, and one habitat, as I said, 2 habitats left on this side, and this one is finished. And let's move over to the Nile Lechwe, which also has a lovely habitat over here, and make a bit more sun, maybe a bit more light into here. Yeah, this is good. With the male, I really like how the males look with the horns and the beard and stuff like that. It looks really, really cool. We have 4 females in here and 1 male. By the way, we have, I think, 14 flamingos in the other one. And yeah, a little bit of a larger water area, but still otherwise, it's quite similar to the other 2 areas. Of course, it's a hoofstock yard. Not much variation into that. They mostly look very much the same, very much plain, but that's because what the animals need. But I tried to give everyone a little bit of their own twist and spin and idea, and I really like how this one turned out. But that's not all what we did in the episode. Hello, Mr. Ostrich. My god, they are really gigantic. Yeah, you're very cool. Hi. Anyway, we have to look at some backstages, and first we go into the one for, the hoofstock basically. This has to be gone. Good. Professional YouTuber here again. But yeah, these are the standard hoofstock interiors with these 2 chambers that can be separated and combined with these doors on both sides. And then, of course, these big gates can be opened to let them into the actual habitat over here. Really simple. I maybe will add some more decals and stuff like that to make it a little bit more grungy, a little bit more used looking. Looks very clean at the moment. Maybe throw some tools in here and there, but this will just be some smaller adjustment stuff that don't need to be in their own video. And of course we have the really cool skylight up above here, which gives natural light. But we also did a different backstage. These are, by the way, the access points, with the keeper gate being underground here. And we also have the one where you can actually look inside. This one being for the flamingo, and this one definitely needs some more grunge, more decals. Flamingos are birds, and birds are not always the most clean animals, so definitely some poop needs to be thrown around here, literally, and then it could look even better. But yeah, very simple, just a water area in the middle, nothing much else. That will maybe add some feeders and stuff like that, and some tools here, but didn't really have the time this week because there was other stuff coming up. But this will just be some small adjustments that can be done easily. Maybe in a stream or stuff like that. So if you want to see that, I highly recommend watching the streams. But yeah, hello. Here you can see this is also a feeding area that is sunk into the ground. This is basically it for this week's episode. As I said, not that much, but not that long. Finally, because we have all the main pieces in place basically. And next week, as I promised, we will do something different. We will go away from the center area and build in a different area of the zoo, a different habitat for one of the new animals. So keep looking forward to that. And I hope you enjoyed this F1 episode, and I hope I see you in the next video. And until then, have a great time, stay safe, and bye bye everyone.